The movie begins as there is an ongoing military party where American soldiers celebrate and have fun despite the ongoing feud with Iraq. Bartle notices Murphy's gaze towards a beautiful comrade, Claire, as he teases him to approach her. Suddenly, a massive explosion interrupts the little gathering as the soldiers rush to their guns and equipment to see what this is all about. While the soldiers are on their training, Murphy, together with two soldiers, are fixing their gun magazines before proceeding to the shooting practice. However, when the other soldiers leave, Murphy approaches the busy Bartle, caught by their commander, Sterling. As Sterling notices that Murphy is fast and capable, he comes to him and offers an alliance to run him some errands in the future. Murphy will be under Bartle's supervision, more of a partner during the training. Bartle sees Murphy fixing his things before deployment. Murphy clarifies that the photograph is a picture of him and his mother. As Bartle asks him further questions about his whereabouts, he discovers that he only enlisted because he wants to do something good before pursuing a history degree. Bartle informs Murphy that a driving force pushes him to join the military, but is still confused about the enlistment purpose. Bartle is having a phone conversation with his mother, Amy, who is persistent in visiting him on their military base, when Murphy intervenes and asks him to follow him. Dropping the call, Bartle follows Murphy into the bathroom to ask Sterling for an extra razor, as he is planning to shave his hair off. Sterling then discloses the confidential area of operations to Murphy and Bartle, as he ensures the loyalty of his underlings before the actual deployment. Sterling reminds the two of them that they must stick with him to ensure their safety. Murphy wonders why Sterling treats him and Bartle special among their colleagues. Bartle reassures Murphy that it's because Sterling can count on them. Bartle orders Murphy not to overthink and sleep, as they got each other's back during their service. Bartle wakes up in a sudden jolt when Murphy checks on him while in a battle. The lieutenant orders the platoon to be in position as the encounter with the Iraqis continues to worsen. Bartle and his colleagues go to the balcony-like base where they can locate and take down their enemies quickly. The exchange of bullets continues when a blast from an explosive takes place, destroying some parts of their hideout. The clash extends until one of them surrenders, but no one has ever raised the white flag. The crossfire between the two parties envelops the battlefield, killing and eliminating their opponents at once. American troops open fire toward the car's direction as it suddenly pulls up in the middle of the fight, even though they don't know who is inside. Soldiers have a homecoming party to which their families are invited. Murphy interrupts Bartle as he is selecting food from the buffet table to show him to his parents. When Murphy's parents notice he is by himself at the party, they extend an invitation for him to join them at their table. Maureen Murphy, Murphy's mother, approaches Bartle outdoors and asks him to keep an eye on her son during their impending deployment. Maureen goes on to say that she would like to hear from Bartle if something untoward were to occur. There are aerial and military tank attacks launched to eliminate their opponents. While the soldiers are on standby during the war, Murphy receives a letter from Maureen. Bartle snatches the letter away while he is reading the content as he starts verbally reading the message. Several military cars arrive as Lieutenant Bellington arrives with his team as he reminds the soldiers that it will be their last hurrah in facing the war. Bellington gives out the orders to drop fire through the palm trees till dawn to finish the battle. They have to serve justice as these brave soldiers will be the primary instrument in achieving it. Meanwhile, Bartle reminisces his erotic encounter with his girlfriend, Tess, when the cameraman asks him if someone is waiting for him back at home. A pool of memories from his car experience with Tess clouded his thoughts in his mind. Sterling chants the lines from Judges as he pours salt along with the vast plantation-like palm tree space. While he is chanting his rituals, his underlings who can hear his remarks wonder if Sterling is still sane or not. The birds chirping, the trees' calmness, and the blinding light of the sun caught Bartle off guard during their patrol. Bartle awakens from his lucid dreaming as a warning via a gunshot alarms them. The Iraqis attack the soldiers who are roving around to investigate the area. In order to defeat their adversaries and get to the guy through the window, Bartle and his group are scurrying to a safer location. But after one of his coworkers, Vasquez, was wounded, Sterling approaches Murphy in a panic and tries to save him. Unfortunately, Vasquez passed away while they were watching. Murphy is still worried about their experience after the meeting. Maureen retrieves multiple letters from the mailbox in their backyard and goes through them to find the crucial message. Maureen opens one of the letters she is holding and is taken aback by what she finds inside. She picks up the papers that are being blown by the wind in a dramatic manner while kneeling on the grass, demonstrating that the letter carries startling information. The soldier sees their family waiting for them when they arrive at the airport's arrivals area. Sadly, Bartle is disappointed to learn that Amy is not welcome. Turning his back, he decided to go to the bar and buy himself a glass of beer. Arriving at their house, Amy exits her room and welcomes her son Bartle, who just entered the door. Amy immediately strides towards his direction as she wraps him with a warm and tight embrace. Captain Anderson knocks on the glass door of Amy's house as he is looking for Bartle's presence. Amy rudely welcomes her visitor as she denies her son's existence at her home at the moment. Amy lashes out her frustration that her son has become entirely different after his mission. Captain Anderson then informs Amy about Murphy and Sterling's case as he drops a calling card to give her his contact information. Amy is greeted by Bartle inside the house, who thanks her for hiding him. Amy questions, nevertheless, why the Criminal Investigation Division searches for Bartle. He leaves his mother with unanswered questions as soon as he ignores her comments. Bartle tries to find out where Sergeant Sterling is and asks for help. As their conversation continues, Bartle learns that Sterling is not present. Bartle said he would call back, so he didn't identify himself. A short while later, Bartle is strolling along the sidewalk when he remembers an incident he had with his coworkers, specifically with Murphy and Sterling, when they were examining the parameters in a sizable rocky region. And he receives a call from Tess as she goes towards Bartle's room to announce her willingness to talk to him. To her shock, Bartle chooses to ignore her and disregard her invitation to him. As Amy cannot take this kind of behavior from her child, she quickly picks a glass of water and throws it to Brandon sleeping in his bed. To Amy's shock, Bartle immediately attacks and slams her through the wall as he holds her jaw, reminding her that she must leave him alone. After his outburst, Bartle goes to her mother as he transfers into another room and slams the door upon closing. Bartle enters a convenience store to buy some canned beers when Murphy's parents have an interview when he sees the television. Maureen states her wishful message to find her missing son as if she's asking for help on national television. Upon hearing her statement, Bartle decides to escape in hearing her pleas. As Captain Anderson makes it apparent that he is not a coward hiding behind Murphy's case, Sterling gets in touch with him. In order to clear his own name and assist them salvage the case, Captain Anderson exhorts Sterling to appear in person. Sterling knows that this phase of reflection that he alleges also indicates a failure to fulfill his obligations, particularly given Murphy's absence. Bartle imagines that Murphy is playing with him while he sits and drinks in the car's hood. He mimics Murphy's motions while grinning pitifully, following his friend as he strolls through an abandoned warehouse, setting up a bed and a bonfire before plunging into the mattress. A convoy of military cars is driving along the dusty road of Iraq. Murphy and his colleague are jamming through the rock music playing on the car's stereo. Receiving an order from their walkie-talkie, they are ordered to keep the channel clear as they are on a mission. Unexpectedly, a bomb attack targets the vehicle where Murphy is riding, leaving them heavily wounded from the explosion. The remaining soldiers abandon their cars to save their injured comrades, as some of them fight back and try to eliminate their opponents. Bartle reminisces the disturbing memory of Murphy's state during their mission. He is watching the nurse, Claire, while treating Murphy's wounds, as his legs are covered by cuts and glass remnants from the explosion. As Bartle cannot protect his mate from the excruciating pain he is experiencing, he leaves him behind. Bartle roams around their military base to deliver the letter of Maureen to Murphy. The chopper's arrival as the two witnesses' medics rushes to bring the wounded soldier. Bartle discovers that Murphy is stalking Claire as she assists injured soldiers. Murphy had developed an affection towards the girl. He always finds a time to stare at Claire from a distance. Suddenly, a bombing occurs from their base, as the American soldiers are astonished by the unexpected attack. Blast after blast, the unprepared soldiers are caught off guard with a massive land explosion. As Murphy sees that Claire is hurt, he strides in her direction to check on her situation. As Murphy walks away, Bartle, who is still barely recovering from the blowout, shouts out for his attention. He sees Claire, who is dying, while Murphy covers her bleeding stomach as he moves in their approach. Maureen is seeking for Bartle when she knocks on Amy's door. Amy understands her loss and tells her that her son has vanished. Maureen says she wants to ask Bartle about his recent conversation with Murphy in their home, and Amy invites her in. Maureen reveals that she had met Bartle at a previous gathering, so she knows him. Bartle approaches a river that is beneath a railroad and strolls leisurely across the water's surface. Bartle makes eye contact with Tess, having a wild erotic experience with Luke, her boyfriend, before Bartle finally decides to drown himself underneath. This impulsive move from Bartle seems to be a remake of how Murphy lost his life. Tess and her boyfriend, Luke, save Bartle from drowning as she calls someone for help. Bartle coughs off the water he had drunk from the river, waking him up instantly. Moments later, the police interrogate Luke for further details as Tess chooses to go where Bartle is. Sadly, Bartle decides to ignore her till the police decide to leave and bring him. Bartle arrives at their house when he hears his mother, Amy, conversing with someone. Wondering who the person might be, he slowly enters their home to check the visitor. To his surprise, it is Maureen, so he immediately escapes and leaves. Bartle goes to the convenience store to ask the attendant for a night's stay, but the staff declines. When Captain Anderson abruptly arrives and interrupts him, he turns angry as Bartle threatens the staff. As Sterling has already removed himself from the picture by taking his own life, Captain Anderson tells him that the Criminal Investigation Division is calling him. Calling Amy, Bartle informs her that he will be spending some time behind bars. Bartle returns to Virginia to find his life in disarray and his mother in excruciating pain. As he releases Bartle from prison, Captain Anderson holds him. Bartle recalls how, in order to summon assistance and preserve Claire's life, he and Murphy transported her body on a wooden plank. Sadly, Claire's illness was not one that they could cure. When Maureen visits him in jail the following day, she wants to know where Murphy is. Despite being hesitant and unsteady when providing information, Bartle begins telling his side of the tale. Notwithstanding their severe injuries from the previous bombing battle, the U.S. soldiers were nonetheless dispatched to patrol. Murphy was hurt at that moment by their adversaries' unexpected strike. The patrol soldiers flee to protect themselves after spotting a dead-body bomb in the middle of the road. To have an explosive ordnance disposal specialist come to their area and disarm it, the lieutenant makes a radio call. Subsequently, the soldier assesses the parameters hazard, as it can be a death trap. Sterling tries to communicate to one of the two civilians they saw passing by before locating the body bomb. The woman informs Sterling that they have seen a barefoot American leaving the edge of the city alone. The platoon searched for hours as they believed that Murphy might have been held captive, but they found nothing. Bartle reveals that Sterling reported that Murphy wasn't found when the search operation occurred. Sterling orders Bartle to keep this operation a secret whenever they find a clue about Murphy's location. They have encountered an older man passing by as he informs Sterling and Bartle that he saw a boy and leads them in its direction. Despite the uncertainty, Bartle and Sterling follow the older man's instructions. Bartle notices a naked dead body nearby, where the enemies brutally kill Murphy upon searching in the area. Bartle continues to narrate when they find Murphy's body as per Sterling's orders. Murphy's isolation and his means of pursuing separation now take place because they are unable to return his body to that condition while they continue to carry out their objective. They lowered his body into the river, allowing Murphy's remains to be completely submerged. When Maureen learns Murphy's fate, her anguish intensifies. She wants to grieve for his passing, thus she challenges Bartle and Sterling's choice. She pulls out a map and asks Bartle where they left his body because she wants to find her son's bones. Maureen asks Bartle about her son's fond memories of the campsite. Bartle describes Murphy's joyful moments at the gathering because he had a thing for a woman. He had emphasized how happy Murphy was to dance with Claire, swaying and savoring the moment as they danced to the mesmerizing beat of the music.